What up, party people? Matt Lehman, the owner of Finders Thrift and Vinyl in La Quinta, California, and SpatulaCityRecords.com. Today we're going to go further into ultrasonic cleaners. This is my baby. This is my beast. This is my workhorse. She does most of the work for Spatula City. This is my Isonic ultrasonic record cleaner. It cleans 10 records at a time, and this is the machine. This is not for your average record buyer. This is for record shops or record sellers or somebody that has a lot more money to spend on their hobbies than I do. Because this, when I bought it about a year ago, this was $1,000. It has come down to about $850, so it's come down a little bit. And there are other ones, obviously. I talked about the Chinese ones you can get on eBay. There's another one that's coming out, or there's a crowdfunder for it. I can't remember whether it's Uma Goomer or something. And it's like $350, and there's also the Kermis ultrasonic cleaner that is $3,500. That's 3500. I think that Kermis is a snake oil salesman, and generally I don't like to throw down at people. Actually, that's not true. I love nothing. There's nothing better than a good tete-a-tete online or in face-to-face. So if he has problems with this, I'm more than happy to discuss or challenge. I'll throw down a challenge, his cleaner versus my Isonic. So, and the reason I say that is because if you look at his, they both will admit, Isonic and Kermis will admit that this body, this contraption is actually made by a third-party company in France or England or Japan or something, and they buy them and then outfit them as they see fit. Kermis's has a little bit taller handles, but it's the same thing. It's the same bath. It doesn't have the rotating mechanism here, and I'll get to that in a minute. And what you get for $3,500 is he has a topper that goes on top of this, which is as opposed to a bottomer that goes on the bottom. And it sits and holds 3 records. And his argument is, number one argument is that this mechanism, this contraption here that rotates the record, damages the spindle holes on records. Now, pretty sure I can debunk that as well as most of my customers. I shipped out 6,000 records last year. 1,400 orders, and not a single person has said, hey, my record is askew because the spindle hole has been jacked up. If that is the case and you just didn't feel like telling me because you didn't want to hurt my feelings, please let me know. Shoot me, because I'd like to know for a fact. I know that it has not damaged the spindle hole in any of my records or any of the records I've done for the shop or my local customers. So I think that that is garbage. His second argument is that this contraption ruins record labels because it gets them wet. Now, if you look at this, this is the spacer that goes in between these records. That's a rubber O-ring that traps the label inside it and locks it in tight. I'm not exactly sure how the water is getting through that rubber O-ring to damage the label. Again, if any of my customers have had damaged labels or think that it happened from me, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to discuss that and see if we can come to a resolution, because I think, again, he's full of garbage. But what he does say after that is up for determination or for speculation or for your own thought process. So he says this topper that he has realigns the grooves and cleans out everything and realistically does some magic process and does so much better than this machine. I think he's full of BS, and I'm going to prove it in a later video. I'm working on that one now. I just have to find somebody that has a Kermis and will clean my records for me. So anyway, back to this machine. This is basically, if you don't know what an ultrasonic cleaner does, it works. This is not new technology. It's been around for decades. It's just a cleaner. It sends ultrasonic waves through a fluid. In this case, it's distilled water with a surfactant, which is what one of the things that Kermis talks quite a bit about is surfactants. I think he uses it because he thinks it's some magical fluid. It's not. It just cuts through the surface of the record, meaning vinyl will naturally repel water, so it beads when you drip water on it. And this cuts that surface tension. It's not surface tension, but whatever it is. One of you chemists will tell me what it is. But a surfactant, or what I call surfactant, they're pretty common. This is Kodak's Professional Photo Flow 2000. You can get this online. This is for processing photos. This is Triton X100. You can get this online. It's pretty cheap. But more importantly, you can get a surfactant at a pet store, because in the cleaning aisle, all of their cleaning aisles for cleaning up pet accidents, the first ingredient in most of them is a surfactant. It basically is pulling that up off of the carpet or off of the floor. So you can use any of those to cut into it. And I put the surfactant into my solution, whereas he scrubs it. He has this like 5-part process. You really should watch the video. It's amazing, because he's got a doctor's coat on, lab coat, and it's pretty impressive propaganda, if you ask me. And if you have $3,500 to spend, then more power to you. So one of the things I didn't talk about on the last video when I compared ultrasonics to VPIs, one of the big reasons that I prefer VPI or ultrasonics to VPI is, so if you take a look at this record, this is Destiny's Child. I recently bought, if you follow my Instagram, I recently bought a rap and hip hop and R&B and soul collection. They had been sitting in a garage, and they had been sitting in a garage in the woods or a tool shed for quite a while. And if you notice, there's a lot of stuff on this. Like right here, this is a pretty gnarly piece of dirt, and there's a lot of dirt on here. You can see it you can see it just kind of go off of there. If you use a VPI with it, and you've seen me use my scrubber, and this is if you haven't watched any other videos, please watch them, and before you tell me that I'm an idiot. Well, you can tell me I'm an idiot, I don't really care. This is a nail file cleaning. Women will know this is a nail file cleaning brush. Men will know this is a shoe polish brush. It's a natural boar's hair. I talk about it all the time. This is what I use for scrubbing my records. If you use that on the VPI like I use mine on my VPI, realistically, if you do that without pre-cleaning your record, that piece of dirt that I just showed you is going to get pushed back and forth, and that's going to act like a piece of grit on sandpaper, so you're going to damage your grooves. So if you're not pre-cleaning your records before you VPI them, you could be causing damage, which to me kind of negates the purpose of a cleaning product, because that also happens with the VPI. Even if you don't scrub like I do, if you look at the VPI tube, this is just the VPI tube out of the cleaner. On the end of it, what grabs the dirt as it goes around are 2 felt pads. Okay, same thing. So this gets sucked down by vacuum pressure, and then the record goes across it, and this sucks up the wetness from your solution, and then the felt pads take up all the leftover dirt. The problem with that is if you had a big piece of dirt like that on this record, same thing. Now you're just running that piece of grit all the way around your record. So now you have a big groove carved out of your whole record. Now it's probably not going to do as much damage as I'm insinuating here, but it's certainly going to give you a scuff if you have a big piece of dirt in there. So to me, that defeats the purpose of a cleaner if you have to pre-clean it. So I still like the ultrasonic, because all you have to do is put this in the bath, and the bath takes care of all the rest of it. No pre-cleaners, no nothing. And my water always looks like trash by the time, because I put the dirtiest records in here. I always clean this out after probably 20 records or so. But so anyway, you stack them up. You can do 5, you can do 2, you can do 1, you can do almost always do 10, because I have that many records to clean. I always have records to clean. And then you drop it down in here, pull it across, and it sits right there. It spins, records spin around, and you turn it on. And so I'll go through the buttons real fast. There's an on and off, there's a heater on it. The only thing I don't like about this model, and this is the only issue I have with this, and I almost didn't buy it because it didn't have it, is the heater. It doesn't have a preset on it, meaning you can turn the heater on, you can turn the heater off. The other one has a preset, so you can set it to a temperature. So I don't use the heater on this, and it doesn't really affect the records. I've never had any issues with it, but because I know that I'm the guy that's going to turn the heater on and forget about it. I'm going to come back and there's just going to be a big pile of black vinyl on the bottom of this because I got it too hot. So I don't use it, but you can use it and set it the way you want. There's function on it, and the function is, so if you just first started using it, and there's the first time you're using it or you're refilling it, you put the distilled water in and then you put your solution in. I actually use the Isonic solution. I've talked about this before. I've tried all the other solutions where you start with surfactant and then you put your own detergent, then you use distilled water or alcohol or whatever you want to use. I've tried all of them, and for the cost, this is so much easier. I don't have to build all my own crap. I don't have to have 40 bottles around. This does a great job, and it's cheap. But you put the detergent in last, and learn from my mistake, because when you first get one of these, you really want to put the detergent in first, because that's how you do dishes. You want the detergent in so that it bubbles up and stuff like that. If you do that, it's going to bubble up, and you're going to have so much soap in here, you're going to have to drain it and start over, because you don't want it to soap up. But you do want to degas it, which is the first thing you do when you do that. Basically, you have to get all the bubbles out of the ultrasonic. And this has a degassing feature. and it goes, I think, you can hear it turning on and off. That's shocking the water so that it'll pushes the bubbles from the bottom up. And then it has timing features, so you can do 5, 10, 15, 20, 20, all the way up to 30 minutes, and it goes back to 5. It has a couple other buttons that I don't generally use. One of them is a solution button, so you can time it as that. Like if you have a specific solution and your solution is only good for 40 minutes of wash time. I generally just tend to look at my water. When my water needs changed out, I change it out. And then what's the temperature, just tells you what the temperature is in Fahrenheit or what have you, and then that's about it. So then I usually use a 5-minute or 10-minute cycle and let it go, let it spin around. And then put a little block in here. I think this is kind of chintzy for what they did. This is how you drain your record. You just put that block under there. It's like you really couldn't put a jack stand there for something. It's kind of weird. But there it is. You let it dry, and then I have a drying rack. I'll just put them on the drying rack and then move to the next 10. And there is nothing that cleans records like an ultrasonic. Nothing. I don't care if you have some crazy process that you know works, and it probably does work, but I guarantee you it does not work as good as this. I have tried them all, and this is just amazing. The only one that comes close is when you have like a label saver and you use a power hose in your sink, or I used to use, before I could afford this, I made my own sort of ultrasonic with a dental water pick, and then you just use the water pick and had the scrubber brush, so I would scrub it and it shoots water at like, I don't know what the PSI is, but it shoots it all over the place. The only problem is it's crazy messy. You do one record and it looks like you've been out in a rainstorm. But that does a really good job, but this still does a better job. But so this is the ultrasonic machine. This is mostly this is a review for people that are buyers or are sellers of records, so that they know. I don't think you need the $3,500 one, especially because the $35 one or $3,500 one only will clean, I think it's 2 33s, 145, and 178 at a time. So if you're a 33 guy, you can only clean 2 records at a time. And his cycle, it looks like it. So you run it for 5 minutes, then you scrub it, and then you run it for another 5 minutes, and then you scrub it, and then you run it for another 5 minutes, and see if it's clean. If it's clean, then you don't have to run it anymore. But so it's a lot longer process. For me, it takes 5 minutes to wash, or 10 minutes depending on what I feel like washing or how many records I'm washing, and about 15 to dry. But the drying time, I just walk away from them. So anyway, that's it. I've got a couple more videos coming your way, but I hope you like it. This is, like I said, this is my baby. This is, outside of the cheapest way is the Windex and the scrub brush like I talk about in my other videos, and the most expensive and the best way is right here. But I understand that not everybody can afford it. Thanks for watching. See you later.